Hey, how's it going? Reece here. If you are running a lead gen agency and your clients are unhappy and leaving, and you've got a little bit of anxiety every time that you hear the Slack notification because you think it's a client about to leave, then listen up, because in this video I'm going to tell you probably why that's happening. In most cases, it's due to a broken service delivery system where the agency owner doesn't truly understand the expectations that they are correctly or incorrectly or inaccurately setting with their client. So what happens is they've got a prospect coming into their system and they're very excited because, this is obviously generally happening with beginner agencies, anywhere from, maybe 1K to maybe 20K a month. I think if you're kind of in that mark and you're facing this issue right now, that's kind of where you would be facing this issue. To get beyond that point, that's generally where you got to fix the service delivery issues. Because what's probably happening in your position is, if you're just kind of beginning, you've got clients that are leaving pretty quickly. They don't, if you're signing them on a 3-month minimum, a lot of the time they might not even want to stick around for the 3 months. And as I mentioned before, there's a few things that go into that. One of the things is the expectations, where we're setting a higher expectation of the end result. And I'm going to get into why that's happening, getting into the breaks that's actually happening in the service delivery system, and most importantly, the better service delivery model that you should be using for lead generation to make sure that your clients actually are happy and get a happier experience. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I got a little diagram here. Just put myself down here. That I'm just going to go over what the average lead generation situation looks like for most agencies. Now, yours might look slightly different. That's okay. But ultimately, you're probably dealing with some of the issues that I'm going to talk about here. So the general situation, again, this is just a generic model, is agencies are kind of running some type of mechanism to generate traffic. That could be, Meta, so that's Facebook, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, Google ads, other sources. Doesn't matter. Probably not TikTok. But whatever you're doing, if you're doing ads or if you're doing organic growth, that's this. Understand that this ultimately is just traffic, right? It's very important that we understand what's going on, and this bit is just traffic. That's all this is. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's traffic, okay? As long as it's cold, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's traffic. Now, what's happening is we're getting the traffic and we're sending the traffic to a website or a lead form. Even, if you're doing Facebook, Google, you might just have a lead form right there, and then you're having people submit that. Usually what people do, agencies, what they do is they just send the traffic straight to the client's already pre-built website. And then there's a lead form there, and they expect the lead form is going to be able to capture the leads, and that generally works. But what happens is that the agency is just sending all of the leads straight to the client, right? They run the ads, and then basically everything else is run by the business, right? In most cases. So they're running the ads to a website that's pre-built by the client or for the client by somebody else. The agency sending all the leads straight to the client, straight to their website. The agency has great screenshots showing an incredible cost per lead and high quantity of leads delivered. So you feel like you're getting incredible results. You're like, great, this is awesome. Straight off the bat, we're doing great, because our job is to generate leads, right? You're a lead gen agency. So the agency then uses this case study to go out to the market. They use this case study to start signing more clients, giving them a high expectation of what's possible. And oftentimes an inaccurate representation of the actual results that they're likely to produce, because they're just looking at CPL, and they're just looking at quantity of leads delivered. Now, what happens when we've got the traffic, we send them to a website, what happens generally is that there's a basic receptionist that kind of follows up. And I'm not insulting the person that works this job. We just got to understand that the people that generally work the jobs, if they're a receptionist or gatekeepers or whatever, the people that's going to call these leads, in most cases, they are people who have never really received really thorough, comprehensive training when it comes to an appointment booking process. They actually generally only receive basic training. They're trained to just pick up the phone, see to what people want, and then do whatever they want them to do to a certain extent, okay? So they receive very basic training. They do not receive compensation or commission. So quite frankly, they have no incentive to actually book calls in the first place, book these meetings. By the way, in terms of meetings, this is how it is for most lead gen. Obviously, if you don't do appointments, if you're doing quotes, consultations, things like that, then that's different. Whatever your client is offering. The process is the same. They don't receive any compensation or commission. They are hired to take the calls, not necessarily to book appointments. And they're definitely not sales trained, and they don't have a proven framework to follow. They're just calling the leads and just saying, hey, saw that you filled out our ad. Do you want to come in for an appointment tomorrow? That's kind of what they're saying. So what this happens is it leads to them, they will book some appointments. They will have some appointments booked in. But the appointments that they do book in generally will have a low sharp rate because they haven't, because of this inefficient process. And those that do show up are going to be very cold and unqualified, again, due to the ineffective appointment booking process. Now, the result of this, which is what's probably going on right now, is the client is seeing a ton of leads coming in that aren't booking appointments and then just saying automatically they're bad leads. Because they see the leads coming in here, but of the leads, the receptionist is calling, unable to book them in the first place because they don't have any sales-based training. So they're just calling, they're unable to book people in. They also don't have a follow-up sequence a lot of the time, so they're not actually following up on leads properly. And again, those people that do book in the appointments, they're not really showing up, and those that do show up are cold. So ultimately, your client's just having a really, really bad experience because they're like, hey, got all of these leads coming in, but they're terrible quality leads. And that's generally the issue that lead generation agencies face. Not that they're not producing leads, but that the quality of those leads is bad. And the truth is, oftentimes, it's not actually the quality of the lead that's bad. It's just how that quality is how that lead is being used, which is the problem. Okay? Because most businesses don't have a lead generation problem. They have a lead nurture problem. We called it traffic before. We can also call it lead generation because this is ultimately when you're generating the lead. You're generating the contact information. And then we've got, that's better spelling, lead generation. And we've got lead nurture. Lead nurture here is about booking the sales call. So this is lead nurture. These two basically are lead nurture. And then we can come here and we call that lead conversion, which is ultimately where the sales happen. Now, the issue that most of these businesses are facing, the problem that they're facing is actually here. It's the lead nurturing side. It's not here because this is where your client is running. And they may have a sales issue, if they're like a construction company, they might have an issue actually closing those deals. If they're like a dentist, they might have a problem actually getting people to buy a paid service or, payment plans, options, and stuff like that available. And this can be focused on later, but for most people, their problem is actually right here. This is the issue for most of them. It's a lead nurture problem for most of the businesses that you're going to be facing. Because I'm sure that you're generating leads. If you weren't generating leads and if your clients are unhappy and deep down it's because you're not generating enough leads, you probably wouldn't be watching this video because you already know why they're unhappy. It's because you're not generating leads in the first place. But if you are generating leads and then they're still unhappy, again, it's probably down to the quality. So let's go ahead and jump into a better model in the way that we could be doing this, okay? So I've blacked this bit out right here, but let's get into it. So beginning stays the same. Traffic stays the same because, again, remember, it's not a lead generation problem. Your lead generation is good. It's a lead nurture problem that you're facing. So the lead nurture is from here, here, here. It's basically these three parts is lead nurture, okay? Now, we've got the leads, we've got the traffic rather, coming to a landing page, and this time that you create that. Now, some of you may already have your own landing page, which is great because you're already a step of people that are over here. If you don't have a landing page already that you've created, create one. Reason for that is because this landing page that you create is going to be optimized and built specifically for the cold traffic that you're sending to that page. And when you're dealing with different types of traffic, you have to understand that there is going to always be a slightly different approach for how warm or cold somebody is, right? If they're brand new, ice cold, never heard of you, never seen you before, you've got to take a different approach to them than you would take if they're like warm or hot. Warm being they're already familiar with who you are, hot being they've already paid before, Completely different approach. Most businesses, again, if they've got a receptionist here, they're used to speaking with people that already know about the business because people are usually calling them. They're never doing any type of cold outbound calling, which essentially is what this is. It's still cold, like sure, they clicked on an ad one time, they filled out a form, they gave you their email, they gave their phone number. They're still pretty cold. They don't really know much about the business if you're following this model. Now, following this one looks very, very different because We've got the traffic. That's the same again. We're sending it to a landing page that you create. Now on this landing page, it's going to be built and optimized for cold traffic, and it's built by the agency, which means that you have more control over the quality. A lot of the qualification that you do need to think about is kind of going to go, it's going to be mostly here actually. It's mostly going to be on the landing page, because on the landing page you can disqualify people right away. You can stop people from even giving their details over if they're not a qualified fit. Let's say that they're trying to sell their home. Let's say you work with realtors, for a random example, but this can apply for any niche. You can have like a little form, a little quiz. And if they're trying to sell their property, but your realtor only works with properties that are trying to sell for a market value of over like $1 million, for example, on that form, you can say, you can ask them kind of what do they think that their property's worth. If they say it's worth 100 grand, then automatically you can disqualify them, right? So they won't even get passed. Hypothetically speaking, don't work with real estate, but you get the idea of what you would be able to do there. But the important part is that if you create the landing page, you have control. You have more control over the quality you're receiving, over the leads that you're getting. Now, the important part is on model 1 over here, the agency sends all the leads straight to the client. Whereas on model number 2, they're not sending the leads right to the client. Now, ultimately, the leads are the client, so they get to have them, but we're not sending them the leads right away, because they don't care about leads. They care about appointments or quotes, consultations, that type of thing, okay? So model number 2, what we've got is we've got the landing page. We already spoke through that. Then we've got like an appointment setter. Now you don't overcomplicate this, okay? An appointment setter is just somebody that's trained on sales, so basically the complete opposite of this. So it's an appointment setter that you're going to give a proven framework for, and you're going to hopefully they've got a little bit of sales experience, and if not, you're going to give them some sales training. So all of the sales training that you've been through, so you created your own sales process, and hopefully if you're running an agency, you already have a good sales process in place because you have clients. You're just teaching that onto the appointment setter, and you're getting these people to call the leads within 30 minutes. Now, some people would say even quicker, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and I understand why. But generally speaking, what we've found is just within those first 30 minutes, that's when it's most important. Within 5 minutes, not necessarily. I mean, they just click the ad. Give them time at least to explore the website and explore whatever comes after the form submission. But ultimately speaking, within 30 minutes, okay? Now, what's going to happen is the appointment setter is going to call up the lead and going to say, they're going to have their own process. You're going to have your own process here because you're training the appointment setter. But essentially what wants to be communicated is that obviously they submitted a form, that you would love to book them in for an appointment, find out their availability, qualify them, and if it makes sense, book them in. That's kind of what's going to be going on here. Now, because of this added step, because the appointment setter is actually trained on sales, actually has a proven structure to follow, and is going to be paid properly, make sure that you're paying your appointment setter properly, they're going to be more incentivized to actually booking new meetings, okay? Because you can have the conversation with the appointment setter and strictly just put across to them, hey, if you're not booking meetings, you're not going to be able to work with us on our team. It's very important that we're booking meetings for our clients. That's where we get paid. So you can communicate that to the appointment setter, whereas your client is not having that same conversation with the receptionist. The receptionist already has so much going on. They're just like, hey, just call these leads and then go there and give them a process. Yours is going to be different. You're going to be training them. You're going to be giving them a process, and their role is a sales-based role. If they're not performing, they get cut from the team. Unfortunately, that's the case. Obviously, to a certain extent, train them, but that's a topic for a different video. Ultimately, you're going to have the appointment setter here working, okay? Now, the appointment setter is, again, going to contact the lead. They're going to book them in if it makes sense. In the background, there's also an email and SMS nurture sequence going on. So what that means is at the moment that somebody submits a landing page, a form submission, they're going to have this email SMS sequence that gets sent out. And the way that that would work is this is like a 24/7 backup if the appointment setter cannot make the call. So if the lead is received at like 2 a.m., this process cooks in immediately. It's clear that it's automated, especially when it comes to email. It's pretty clear that it's automated. But you're sending that out, and it's going to nurture the lead as well. So what happens here is if the appointment setter was unable to call them right away and the prospect, like the lead, had already seen this email nurture sequence or SMS nurture sequence, they're already being warmed up a little bit by the content of that sequence, okay? So by the time that the appointment setter calls, they're even more inclined to actually book in. And of course, they should be able to book in right from this email SMS. They should have some way that they can book in the appointment. Now, what's going to happen by following this process is that there's going to be more appointments actually being booked, because there's going to be like a more positive appointment booking process. There's going to be a higher show up rate, and there's going to be a higher qualification rate, and the leads are going to be warmer due to that process that we've just walked through. The end result here is that the client doesn't see as many leads coming through, but they're too busy taking qualified meetings or appointments to really care about it in the first place. Now, of course, little caveat there, of course, they know that the leads are being handled well. When I say that they don't really care, about how many leads are coming through, it's because the only thing they care about is these appointments. That's when they make their money. They don't care about leads. Understand again, like if you can take one main thing from this video, it's that the lead generation is not the problem. It's nearly always lead nurture. It's so easy to generate leads. Ridiculously easy to generate leads. Now, of course, you could look in here and you can say, okay, cost per lead is too high. Let's go optimize the ads. But again, most people don't have an issue on that side of things, right? If you're not generating leads, you know what the issue is. You're not generating leads. Most people have the issue here, where the client is unhappy because they think that the leads are bad quality. In actual fact, it's just the process that's bad. This is the upgraded, improved process. Now, I didn't really plan on this video to talk too much about how to actually build this out in your agency, so maybe I can make another actually training or project, like a video going over that in a little bit more detail. But what I will say is this: the appointment setter is going to be a massive asset to your team, because you can use that one person for all of your clients. And if you also have inbound leads coming in, so for example, if you're running ads for your own agency, if you're doing email marketing or email outreach rather, things like that for your own agency, then you can use this appointment setter there as well to book you appointments. So you can have this person just doing appointment setting both for your agency and for your clients. So you don't need to pay them like double. In terms of this email SMS nurture sequence, you set up once and you duplicate it for all of your clients. Really, really easy to do. The only caveat there is that obviously you're going to want to try and improve things, because we're marketers. So every now and again, you may look and see, okay, how can actually we make this better? Same thing with the website. Create it once, you duplicate it. The only thing that you're going to do now and again is run some A/B tests, optimize it, make sure that landing page is as effective as possible. But once this is working, once you've got this working really well, which again is like, this is both kind of lead generation. Once you've got this working really well, it's this entire lead nurture thing that you want to be focusing on. And this is where most agencies are going wrong. It's because their lead nurture is like, the truth is, it seems at least, that a lot of lead generation agencies, they don't really care what's going on in the lead nurture thing, because their role, they believe, is just to generate the lead in the first place. But you have to understand, I'm going to leave you with this question. In terms of like when you're building out your offer, you have to understand this, and this is just a question for you to help you process this, is just always ask yourself, what do clients need before and after you work with them? So what is needed if this is your, like if this is your system, right? Where the only thing you're doing ads. What do they need before they can run ads? What do they need after running ads? Okay? So the bare minimum, just by answering that question, the bare minimum is, what do they need in order to run ads? Well, they need a website set up. They also need like maybe some pitches, testimonials, case studies. That's the things that they need just to get the ads running in the first place. Now, what do they need after the ads? Once you finish, if you were only running ads again, what do they need after that? Well, again, they still need a website and they need a process. So at the bare minimum, you should be providing your clients with some type of sales process to follow. If you're in a position right now where you can't really hire an appointment setter for whatever reason, then you should at the bare minimum be providing your client with a process for them to follow, and they can give that to the receptionist and have them follow it at the bare minimum. But the truth is, when you implement this, your offer is going to be so much more valuable that you'll be able to afford that appointment setter and any other roles that you want to hire, because that's how much more valuable this is going to be compared to this thing. Because this thing, underperforming campaigns, clients not happy, they see leads coming in, a low number of appointments, they're not happy. This one, they're getting meetings coming in, the meetings are qualified, high sharp rate, they're making money, they're happy with you, okay? Whoa, been through a lot today. I hope that all made sense. I know that it can be a little bit confusing sometimes if you just kind of get into it, but hopefully I was able to convey this in a good way today and actually help you understand exactly what's going on here. Let me just quickly, one more thing I just want to touch on really quick. I don't want to leave anything missing out here. When I mentioned what comes before and after, obviously the before you run ads is the assets you need to run ads, and the things that come after the ads is what's going to happen next in terms of the sales process. And that's exactly what's happening here, is that what comes before the ads, I mean the same assets. What comes after the ads, now we've improved all of that. Okay, we've put this all pretty much within our control. The only thing that's not really within your control, your influence, is what actually happens on the appointment. Now, of course, you can give them some sales training. You can give them a process to follow on their appointments. You can do all of that, and you can set up a follow-up sequence after the appointment. You can do all of that, and you can figure that out yourself. Be innovative, be creative, and you can figure those things out. But most important thing, just keep this question always in your mind. What's going to happen before and after? Once I've done what's going to happen after, like let's just say this is your new system, still ask the same question. Okay, but what's going to happen after this system? If this is a system we're selling, what's going to happen after this system? Well, some people are not going to buy right away, so they will need follow-ups. So now you can go and create potentially a follow-up thing here. I don't know what's going on here. You can do that. There's so many different things that you can do after. What's going to happen after? Once they book the appointment, what comes after that? And then you can help them improve their follow-ups, improve their sales process. That bit's unlimited, and that bit is up to you to get creative, get innovative, and figure something out on how you can improve things. But in general, this is going to be able to achieve the result that you're after. A very, very valuable result for your client. They'll be very, very happy about that. So, hope the video has made sense. Hope you were able to get some value today. If you are a digital marketing agency and you're looking for a little bit of help actually improving your client acquisition or your fulfillment systems, then feel free to click the link in the description down below. It takes you to a page, tells you a little bit more about my one-on-one systems, how we actually help you build out systems like this, and also for your own acquisition into your agency. If you want to check that out below. If not, totally cool. But either way, if you like the video, hit the like, hit the subscribe so you can see the next ones, the next future trainings that are coming out. And if you do want a training on kind of how to kind of build this out in your system, in your agency itself, comment down below kind of what you would want to see, and maybe I'll put something like that together and show you actually how to hire the appointment setter, what kind of systems you should be using to build out all of this, and whatever else. Okay, hope you found the video valuable, and I'll see you again in the next one.